All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the one and only Wrestling Otaku channel. Of course, your personification of excellence on YouTube and YWC. We're the best reviews wrestling and your three-time YWC channel of the year. And I'm back here. It is now officially Saturday night, Saturday, April the 11th of 2026. So hope you all had a good week as we're here in the second week of April, and hope you all are having a good start to the weekend, start to the weekend thus far. So here tonight, I am here to give you my special video, of course. I am here tonight to give you my official AEW Dynasty 2026 pay-per-view predictions video. So we are a little under 24 hours away from the pay-per-view itself taking place, which of course it will be Sunday, April the 12th, again, tomorrow night. So I figure I'd go ahead and give you guys this predictions video as I promised earlier in the week that I would. Actually, it was last week, but I'm just now getting around to doing it. Busy with work, other things, but yeah, better late than never, as I always say. So by the time you guys see this, it may very well be past midnight because I want to edit in. I'll probably edit in the intro, and then once processing gets done, and I have to record this video first. Once all that gets done, it's all said and done, and this might be uploaded probably past midnight, possibly. There's a good possibility because it's like. Well, it's like 10:59 right now, so I still got a little over an hour. But yeah, I want to go ahead and give you guys my prediction video for Dynasty since we're 24 hours away from it taking place. So, Dynasty will take place, of course, in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. AEW, as of late, has had basically a tour of Canadian cities. They were in Winnipeg for Dynamite last week. They were in Winnipeg. They were in I forget where else. Shit, I forget the name of the freaking city. But they've been in Canada for like the better part of the last week and a half, 2 weeks now. And of course, obviously culminating in this show here in Dynasty tomorrow night. So with that being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So as per usual, I will go through the entire card here. So for those of you who are familiar with my predictions videos, how I do them, pretty much know how this goes. For anybody who's new here, basically what I'm going to do is briefly, I'm going to go through every match that has been so far announced for the card for tomorrow night. Give a brief rundown of it, what I think, stuff like that, and then I'll give you my prediction as to who I think is going to win and why. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. So with that being said, without further ado, let's get into it. So as of this recording, as we currently stand, there are 11 matches that have been made, according to the Wikipedia. 11 matches announced for the card for tomorrow, 3 of them on the pre-show, and the remaining 8 are going to be on the main show. So I'm going to run through it, starting with the pre-show, and then I'll go all the way down through the, of course, main card and all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, without further ado, let us get into my official AEW Dynasty 2026 predictions. So we'll start with our first pre-show match. It's going to be a singles match here, a bit of a grudge match. Alex Windsor one-on-one versus Marina Shafir. We've kind of seen a little bit of a jockeying between these two, back and forth. Of course, Alex Windsor, one half of the Brawling Birds, whereas Marina Shafir, obviously, with the Death Riders, and she's had loose affiliations with, the Triangle of Madness, Tekla and the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart and Sky Blue. So based on that, we've this match was made, I believe, a week or so ago after these two kind of got into it. Obviously, this also stemming from the whole Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley thing, which that, of course, is going to be a match later on, which I will get to in a little bit. But anyway, so this should be a decent enough match. I think both of these women are solid in-ring performers. As to who wins, I'm kind of leaning towards Alex Windsor here. I could see them giving it to Marina, but I'm kind of leaning towards Alex Windsor. So give me Alex Windsor over Marina Shafir for that. All right, so next up for our second match here on the 0 Hour, we have a singles match for the AEW National Championship. The champion, Jack Perry, defends against Mark Davis. Of course, Jack Perry, who won the title, I believe it was a month or so ago, in a 21-man Casino Battle Royal, or I think it was a Casino Battle Royal, or something along those lines. Of course, defeating the former champion Ricochet, or was the last man standing in said Battle Royal, and thus he became the national champion, and he's defended the title ever since. And so he's been a decent enough champion, solid enough champion, and in the absence of Luchasaurus, who's unfortunately on the shelf right now. Of course, they're pretty much derailing the whole Jurassic Express reunion. But yeah, so Jack Perry thus far is the national champion. He's been champion for a little over a month now. And then you got Mark Davis, who is obviously affiliate with the Don Callis family. He's been basically doing the bidding of the Don Callis family. And obviously, of course, his longtime, tag partner, Kyle Fletcher, who's now unfortunately he's injured, and thus the TNT title is vacated. And so yeah, so Mark Davis is one of basically the bruisers, or the muscle man, if you will, of the Don Callis family. They're doing the bidding, of course, of Don Callis and all. And so he's got this match here. He's booked in this match here for the national championship versus Jack Perry. Should be an interesting contrast. Obviously, Jack Perry, the smaller of the two, of course, who he's more of a speed wrestler, but he's also a little bit of he's got technique as well. And then Mark Davis, obviously the big bruiser, of course he's going to use his size and his power and his striking ability. So it should be a decent enough match here on the 0 hour. As to who wins, I got to give it to Jack Perry. I don't see, with all due respect to Mark Davis, I don't see him winning this match. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I give me Jack Perry to retain. And then the final, the third match of the 0 hour, the final match up to this point, I don't know if they might add another match or more, I don't know. But anyway, the final match, the third match of the 0 hour, will be a tag match for the women's AEW Women's Tag Team Championship. The champions, Divine Dominion, that being, of course, Lena Cross and Megan Bayne, will defend against High-End and Maya World. So ever since winning the women's tag titles, Lena Cross and Megan Bayne have looked damn near unstoppable. They pretty much run through everybody that they've come in contact with, be it singles matches or tag matches. But yeah, so they're about as dominant of a tag team as you can think of since they took the titles from the Babes of Wrath. And so yeah, they're definitely an opposing team. And then you look at their opposition, a team that was recently signed by AEW in High-End and Maya World, who have made several appearances, sparsely on Dynamite and Collision, more so Collision, and they've been a decent enough tag team. And of course, they're going to challenge, for the women's tag titles here. But I don't know if they're going to be quite up to this. I'm sure they will, but I just don't know if they're really going to get all that much headway against a team like Divine Dominion. So spoiler alert, that's pretty much my prediction. My predictions for this match, Divine Dominion is going to retain the AEW Women's Tag titles. With all due respect to High-End in My World, I don't see them winning this match. So that's pretty much it. Those are all the 0 hour matches. So now we move on to the main the main card, the main portion of the pay-per-view. And let me just run through those matches here, and they are as follows. So we start with a tag team match here for the AEW Tag Team Championships. The champions, FTR, Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, Will Stokely Hathaway, versus the team of Cope and Cage, that of course being Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. This feud has obviously been brewing for a long time, ever since, of course, recently Cope and Cage returned. Obviously, both Adam Copeland and Christian Cage were taken out. Well, Adam Copeland was. I forget. I'm pretty sure Christian was, at least on hiatus or something like that. But I know Adam Copeland was taken out by FTR. And then, of course, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage recently returned, and obviously they swore revenge against FTR, and of course this stemming back from, of course they explained the backstory between FTR, Dax and Cash, and of course Edge, or Adam Copeland, I should say. And it's stemming from that, of course, back during the rated FTR thing where these guys were like a trios for a while. And then, of course, they ended up turning on Copeland, and that's when Copeland was taken out. And, of course, Copeland got back together with Christian Cage, and so they both returned recently. And so now we finally are going to have this culmination of this feud and this storyline come to a head with this tag match for the AEW Tag Titles. And so Cope and Cage, since reunited as a tag team, they have been, again, this is technically their first return match, or this is, their big return match, I should say, since coming back, and they're challenging for the tag titles here against a team in FTR who has been about as dominant of a team as you could think of in AEW, 3-time AEW Tag Champions. They've beaten just about every other major tag team in the division in AEW, and so this is going to be a test for them. This is going to be an interesting contest just to see how it goes. I think both teams are going to put it all out there. I think this has a match of the night candidate. This has match of the night candidate potential. I'm very interested to see how Cope and Cage manage in a match of this magnitude against a team like FTR. It's going to be very interesting. So I'm very much looking forward to this match. We'll see. As to who wins, Ooh, it's going to be a toss-up, but I got to give it to FTR here. I do think that this is going to be the first in a series of matches between these two teams. I don't think it's going to end on one match. I do think it's going to. I do think this is going to continue at least until the summer, maybe even to All In. You know, where we're seeing the culmination of Cope and Cage getting their big retribution against FTR. But for this night, for this match, I got to say FTR. Cash Wheel and Dax Harwood secure the victory by hook or by crook. I do think there's probably going to be some sort of chicanery at the end, maybe involving Stokely or maybe involving something else. But I do see FTR retaining the titles here over Cope and Cage, and Cope and Cage will continue the chase and the pursuit of revenge on FTR. So that's my prediction for that. Moving on. So next up, I don't know if I should just go through this match here or skip. Well, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead since it's next on the list. All right, so next up we have a singles match here, another grudge match for the AEW Continental Championship. The champion Jon Moxley defending against the returning Will Ospreay. So Will Ospreay had been out of action since before All In last year, and of course the storyline was that he was taken out by Jon Moxley. But what it was he had a neck injury or something like that, and he was put on the shelf for a good while, like it's almost a year. Recently returns. Attacked Jon Moxley after Jon Moxley's successful title defense against Konosuke Takeshita at the previous pay-per-view. That being what was the previous pay-per-view? Revolution. Yeah. Sorry, I had to think about it for a second. But yeah, Revolution was of course, Revolution, which was in the beginning of March. But yeah, so Will Ospreay returns, and he has vowed, he has sworn revenge against Jon Moxley, specifically the Death Riders, but really specifically targeting Jon Moxley. He blames Moxley for, taking him out, quote unquote, and Jon Moxley has fired back. You see the Death Riders with multiple, gang attacks on Will Ospreay. And recently, Will Ospreay enlisted the help of his United Kingdom allies from New Japan. The new IWGP champion, Caleb Newman, I believe his name is, and there was a number of other guys as well, and they basically had like a gang warfare type thing against the Death Riders this past week on Dynamite, and it was a heck of a scene, But yeah, so Will Ospreay gets his big revenge match, and here against Jon Moxley. At first, it was just like a grudge match, but now it's for the Continental Championship because, in Will Ospreay's words, he said in the promo, when the Continental title is on the line, everybody else is banned from ringside, so it'll be a true one-on-one match, one-on-one contest between the two, and I think that may factor into the finish. But I do think this is going to be a badass match. It has match of the night candidate, it has match of the year candidate written all over it. These two guys are capable of putting on 5-star, 6-star matches. Both these guys on any given night can easily steal the show in any given match against any given opponent. You know how high I am on Jon Moxley. You know how high I am on Will Ospreay. I think this has a match of the year candidate potential all over it, and it's for the Continental Championship. So I think it's going to be a great one. I think it's going to be a damn good match. Probably one of the best matches on this card. I say at least top 3. This is going to be a top 3 match, guaranteed. Match of the night candidate, absolutely. As to who wins, it's going to be tough because I like both these guys, but I'm leaning towards Will Ospreay just because I feel like Will Ospreay is going to get his comeuppance here. I could be wrong, and they could have Moxley retain. Again, it's a Continental title match, so there's not going to be any outside interference. But I just get the feeling that based on that, I think Will Ospreay is going to come up on top in this match. And I say he defeats Jon Moxley here, gets a measure of revenge, and he becomes a new AEW Continental Champion. And I do think that down the line, and I may be getting ahead of myself here, but I do think at some point this year, Will Ospreay will go on to be a world champion. I just get that feeling. Like, I think he should have been it last year. I think the plan was for him to be world champion, but it's just because of his injury, I think it ended up not happening. So I just get that feeling that at some point Will Ospreay is going to be a world champion. It might even happen at All In. I hope I'm not spoiling it, or like a prediction or whatever. But I do think at some point Will Ospreay will be world champion. But for this show, I think he will defeat Jon Moxley, and he will at least be the AEW Continental Champion for however long. But yeah, so give me Will Ospreay over Jon Moxley. And again, I like both guys, so it doesn't matter to me who wins. I can see either guy winning. I'm going to go with Will Ospreay for the sake of this video. Moving on. So next up, we get another singles match, somewhat of a grudge match here. It's going to be Andrade El Idolo with Don Callis, of course, representing Don Callis' family, 1-on-1 versus Darby Allin. And this is basically a somewhat of a stipulation match where if Darby Allin wins the match, if he defeats Andrade, he will receive a future AEW World Heavyweight Championship match. So that's basically the stipulation here. It's not a number one contenders match because only Darby Allin. This only applies to Darby Allin. I don't think it applies to Andrade. But if Andrade does come out on top, I think because I think Andrade was in line at one point, but then he basically lost his last his number one contenders match. I think it was against Kenny Omega, I believe. Or yeah, I think it was Omega. But anyway, so this is going to be another high profile match on this card. Andrade, since returning to AEW, has been fire. He has really elevated he has really elevated himself as one of those kind of top tier guys who can hang with anybody. He really when he first returned, I was like, I want to be open minded, give him a chance, just based on the WWE nonsense, the fallout from him leaving WWE and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of hesitant, but seeing his work since he returned to AEW, I'm like, okay, this dude knows what he's doing. This dude can ball. He has really elevated his game since returning, and I give him all the props in the world, all the credit in the world for doing that. And he has been, as good as he has looked in a long time in terms of these matches he's had against the likes of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page and all these other guys, all these top tier guys in AEW. So Andrade's been putting in some work, man. Andrade El Idolo has been putting in some work with AEW. I do think this match against Darby Allin is going to be solid. And Darby Allin, of course, he's Darby Allin, so you're going to get a top tier match, or at the very least, he's going to attempt to give us a top tier match, and I think it will happen in this one. You kind of have the I guess you could say the dark horse, if you will, or the what do you call it? The extra element of the potential of the Don Callis family getting involved, but I just don't think it's going to be that big. I mean, you never know, but I do think that with the stipulation, with Darby Allin, with a future AEW World title line, I do think Darby Allin will be extra motivated to come out on top, and I do think we're going to get a quality match. I do think both guys are going to put on a very, very solid outing here, and looking forward to seeing how it goes. I think both guys will match up pretty well. Again, another kind of contrast of styles in ways. I do think it's going to end up being a real solid match. As to who wins, I gotta give it to Darby Allin. I just get that feeling that for the longest time, he's come up just short of, being a top contender, one of those top contenders for the AEW World title. Darby Allin's been a guy who's been here since the beginning, and I think he's had only a handful, maybe one or two true world title shots, or, it was ever truly in contention for the world title. So I do think he is long overdue for a major world title push, or, at the very least, to be in contention for a world title push. So give me Darby Allin over Andrade El Idolo here, and I do think both guys will come. I do think it will come down to the wire, and I think Darby Allin will come on top. So that's my prediction for that. Moving on. So next up, we get another singles match here for the AEW Women's World Championship. The champion Tekla defends against Jamie Hayter. A little bit of history here. When Tekla first debuted, she attacked Jamie Hayter, and that led to kind of a back and forth between the two. Well, actually, Jamie Hayter took time off, I believe, because she was injured. But so they never truly kind of got into that whole storyline or that whole feud because of Jamie Hayter's absence after Tekla's debut. But I do believe these two have met in the ring a few times, or once or twice, if to my recollection. At least during tag matches, I know for a fact. They were in a tag match on Collision earlier, in the main event of Collision. But yeah, so Tekla since becoming champion, and granted, I do like Tekla, but it's just I kind of didn't want to see Chris Statlander drop the title. That was my only thing. But Tekla has been really, really solid. She's been money ever since winning the title. In terms of promos, in terms of just her overall character, her essence, her aura, and what she does in the ring, she's definitely deserving of a world title pick reign. And she's definitely deserved it. She's definitely earned it, and she's getting better. And I see a lot of people saying, they enjoy seeing Tekla. She's getting better, so on and so forth. And Jamie Hayter, former world champion, she's right now doing the thing with the Brawling Birds with Alex Windsor, who's going to be in the 0 Hour. So I think they want to kind of focus, at least for a while, they were focusing on, in terms of the women's tag division. But Jamie Hayter is, by heart, a singles competitor, former, again, AEW Women's World Champion. So she's going to be in contention. She's going to be in this match here. And I do think these two women will have a solid match, another solid outing here. I do think they both will bring out the best in each other, and I do believe that this will be another kind of dark horse candidate for match of the night, or match of the night candidate, a dark horse entry, I should say. And yeah, I do think it's going to be solid. I do think these two, again, I do believe they've had a match. I do believe they were in the ring against each other in a singles match or tag match, but these two are capable of putting on a very, very solid top tier outing in terms of the women's division. So I look forward to this one as well. As to who wins, all due respect to Jamie Hayter, I don't see Tekla losing this match. Like, if she didn't lose it, if she didn't drop it back to Chris Statlander after that 2 out of 3 falls match at Revolution, I don't see Jamie Hayter winning this match. With all due respect, I do think Tekla is going to retain, and she's going to continue her reign as AEW Women's World Champion. So that's my prediction for that. Moving on. So next up, we have a special Casino Gauntlet match to determine the now vacated AEW TNT Championship. And of course, as I mentioned before, Kyle Fletcher, who the former champion, is now out with injury. So therefore the title was vacated, and it was announced that the TNT title will be on the line in this Casino Gauntlet. So the winner of this Casino Gauntlet will be the new TNT champion. So as of right now, we only know 2 entrances, that being the first two participants in the match. It'll be Tommaso Ciampa and Roosh, by virtue of both of them winning qualifying matches. I'm looking, and I don't see anybody else. So everybody else is to be announced. So it's really kind of hard to predict the winner for this kind of match, because you never know who's going to come out. Like I said, we know the first 2. We know Tommaso Ciampa's in it, and we know Roosh is in it, but we don't know who else is going to come out. And a Casino Gauntlet is a very unique match into where every so often at random intervals somebody else gets added to the match. But realistically, the match could end if either guy in the ring gets a pinfall or submission. So all the participants don't even have to come out. Like, you could literally have a match where, nobody comes out, or like 1-2 people come out, and the match could end because somebody could get a pinfall. It's not a battle royal where all the participants have to come out and they get eliminated by throwing over the top rope. It's a Casino Gauntlet where random, guys will come out at random intervals, but the match can end at any time. So it's, in that sense, it's definitely one of the funner, more unique matches one of the more unique match concepts we've seen in AEW, and people have enjoyed it. I've personally enjoyed just about every Casino Gauntlet match I've watched, and I think this one is going to be fun. But again, it's going to be hard to pick a winner because we don't know who's in it. We could have some surprise entrances, some returns. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in this. But for the sake of this, and I said this before too, I do think Tommaso Ciampa is the favorite to win the TNT title, to win this Casino Gauntlet match and become the TNT champion again, because he was the TNT champion and he only defended it once or twice, and then lost it to Kyle Fletcher in that ladder match. No, not a ladder match. It was a singles match. I'm sorry, but yeah, I do think Tommaso Ciampa is the favorite, and I do think by all accounts Tommaso Ciampa should be the one to win this match and become the TNT champion again. So that's my pick for that. I think Tommaso Ciampa is winning. Moving on. Okay, so next up we got three matches. Yeah, 3 matches left. All right, so next up we have a tag team match, standard tag team match. It's, I guess you can say, a grudge match, or it's kind of a specialty match, if you will. It is going to be the Young Bucks, of course, Matt and Nick Jackson, versus the Don Callis family's team of Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita, with, of course, Don Callis. Now, the thing about this match is Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita are both part of the Don Callis family, but they clearly, and we have seen this throughout the last however many months, clearly do not like each other. They clearly, like the last time these guys teamed together, they competed for the tag titles against Brodito, that being Brody King and Bandito, when they were champions, and they came up short. And these guys, ever since, have just been at each other's throats. Like, it never got to the point where, they straight up went at each other. Although they did, have a shoving match, which, evolved into, like, a full-out fight, which got, pulled apart. But anyway, so Don Callis basically announced that, because Kyle Fletcher got injured, and thus he vacated the TNT title, it was going to be Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita versus the Young Bucks in this match, but instead Don Callis named Kazuchika Okada as Kyle Fletcher's replacement. And so Okada and Takeshita have to basically coexist and be in this match against the Young Bucks. So, and also it was announced that during this very same segment this match was made, Don Callis basically said that Takeshita and Okada will face each other at Double or Nothing for Okada's international title. So, they basically kind of threw that out there that, Okada and Takeshita will face each other one-on-one. But first, they got to coexist in this match. And the question is, will they coexist? I get the feeling that they won't. At some point, one guy is going to screw the other, or, there's going to be a miscue. Much like with, their last tag match where they challenged for the tag titles against Brodito back at, I forget what, I think it was Full Gear, or, I can't remember the exact pay-per-view. But it was late last year. But anyway, so the Young Bucks, of course, one of the better tag teams in AEW. Meanwhile, Okada and Takeshita just seemingly are at odds at every turn. And, again, the question is, can they coexist? I think they will for the bulk of it. But at some point, I do think it's going to, I do think something's going to give and one of them is going to screw the other. I just get that feeling. So thus, my prediction for this match, I got the Young Bucks winning. And Okada and Takeshita, I do think, are going to come the blows at some point, either during the match or after it. I just get that feeling. But I do think the Young Bucks are winning this match. That's my prediction. All right, next up we have the second to last match here. I guess you could say it's going to be a singles match, bit of a grudge match. It was made recently. It is going to be the returning Chris Jericho. Yes, Chris Jericho back in AEW. One-on-one versus the former national champion Ricochet. Of course, this match was made this past week. Chris Jericho had the contract signed, or he basically signed his new AEW contract. Ricochet came out with the demand, basically ran down Jericho, saying he shouldn't sign the contract and yada yada yada. And Jericho fired back. He signed the contract, and then he basically said, "I have a clause where I can face anybody I want who's available," and he chose Ricochet, and that's pretty much how this match was made. So, it'll be interesting to see how Jericho does in his return match, his first match, back in almost a year since his return. And I'll say this, he definitely looks to be in shape. He's definitely been hitting the gym, or, he's been doing whatever he's got to do to get back in ring shape. And, it's going to be interesting to see how Jericho performs against Ricochet, against a talent like Ricochet, which, say what you will about him, Ricochet is, one of the better athletes, in AEW. He certainly got that pedigree, and should be a unique enough match. Will the demands play a factor into this match? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Jericho does and how Jericho and Ricochet work together in terms of how they mesh well, their chemistry in regards to this match. I do think it's going to be decent enough. I think it's going to be a solid match. We'll see what happens. We'll see how Jericho does. As to who wins, I got to give it to Jericho, honestly. I could see them giving it to Ricochet too, but I don't see Jericho losing his big return match. Especially since he just re-signed with AEW. I don't see him losing his return match. I got Chris Jericho over Ricochet here. Maybe they have a rematch on Dynamite or, Collision or whatever the case may be. I do think that these two guys will probably face each other more than once. But for this match, for this pay-per-view, I gotta say Chris Jericho wins in his return match, and we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, so then finally, we get to our final match, which will likely, in all likelihood, be the main event. Singles match for the AEW World Championship. The champion, MJF, the devil himself, one-on-one versus the self-proclaimed god of professional wrestling, that being Kenny Omega. Kenny, by God Omega, challenging for the AEW World Championship. You never thought you would see it, at least, with all the diverticulitis stuff and everything that happened with, Kenny Omega. But yeah, so this match, of course, came as a result of Kenny Omega winning a series of, number one contenders matches. I believe, he defeated Swerve Strickland, he defeated Andrade, so on and so forth, and so thus he earned this number one contendership. MJF, who of course has been the champion since World's End, has had a rather interesting reign with the title. He's defended it successfully against everybody, he's faced up to this point. And so, yeah, these two guys did face each other, and this was mentioned in a promo segment they did on Dynamite, where they faced each other one time before, a match won by MJF. I believe in 2023. This was before Kenny Omega had his hiatus due to the diverticulitis. And so yeah, and then they had a really, really solid promo segment on Dynamite where Kenny Omega basically ran down MJF and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, and they've been building this thing for quite some time, and yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. So it goes without saying that based on the match we've seen from them before, based on these two guys, is their individual ability and their ability to put on a top tier match, main event spot, AEW World's title, at a major pay per view. This easily is going to be one of the three best matches on the card, up there with Moxley and Ospreay. You can say the Casino Gauntlet, I think, is going to be a fine match as well. The AEW World Tag Title match with FTR versus Copa Cage. And obviously, this AEW World's Title match is definitely going to be a match of the night candidate for sure. Match of the year candidate potentially. I do believe both guys will have that kind of a match. It's a foregone conclusion. I mean, it's Kenny Omega, it's MJF. It's a foregone conclusion that they're going to have a match of the year candidate. It's that's how good they are. So very much looking forward to seeing how this match goes, like how both guys do, especially Kenny Omega in a main event spot for the first time in however long, challenging for the AEW World's title for the first time and for however long. And MJF, of course, defending the title, and I just can't wait to see what they do in this match. It's gonna be absolutely epic, man. I can't wait. As to who wins, another toss up. I'm leaning towards MJF. I do believe Kenny Omega has the potential to win this match. I do believe Kenny Omega can win this match. The only thing is, I don't think Kenny Omega will win this match. I think they're waiting for the right moments, which I think it's all in. I think they're waiting for the right moment and the right opponent to take the title from MJF. And with all due respect to Kenny Omega, I don't think it's Kenny Omega. I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. I absolutely could see Kenny Omega pulling a win out here. He absolutely has the ability to. But I just get the feeling that MJF, by hook or by crook, is going to find a way to weasel his way into a win. He's going to find a way to sneak the win. He's going to find a way to win this match over Kenny Omega. I just get that feeling. It's just always, MJF always has a plan. Seemingly, MJF always has a plan. So I do think he has a plan for Kenny Omega in this match. We shall see. Both these guys, I think, are going to be. It's going to be an excellent match. It's going to be a classic match in the main event of Dynasty. I got MJF over Kenny Omega to retain the AEW World's title, though. But anyway, so those are all the matches. Those are my predictions. And so that is pretty much going to do it for this predictions video. So this is actually one of the shorter predictions videos I've done. Usually these run, about over 40 minutes. It's a little over 30 here. So got a little bit of time. We got about 30 minutes left. So I might actually get the chance to upload this, here today or tonight, before midnight. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's going to be it for that. So that's my predictions video for AEW Dynasty 2026. So thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. For those of you who are going to be watching the pay-per-view tomorrow, hope you enjoy it. Hope it is enjoyable. I do have work tomorrow, but I do get off fairly early, so I will get the chance to catch the pay-per-view in its entirety. Yes. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy it, man. I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm sure all of you will too. But anyway, that's going to be it for this. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. Leave a comment. Give me your thoughts on any of the matches here. Give me your thoughts on my predictions. Make a few of your own in the comments. All that kind of stuff. And if you're going to be watching the pay-per-view, we'll see how my predictions play out and pan out and all that kind of stuff. And I'll keep track of which ones I got right, which ones I got wrong, all that kind of fun stuff. So, but anyway, so go ahead and do that. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support you get. And with that being said, it's pretty much going to do it, man. So thanks for watching once more. Till next time, Wrestling Otaku. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, I'm out. Peace.